Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Tell Me Something Good. This is an intro. I was told my intro last time was way too long, so I'll try to keep it concise. I just want to say thank you so much to everyone for listening, for taking the time to share it, to tell people about it. I think the first episode got so much more attention than I expected it to. I never take that for granted, so thank you guys for that. It is Thanksgiving, so, take the time to tell people around you that you love them and that you're thankful for everything they do. The next episode that you're about to hear is featuring Dan Nikulin, Kulin, you might know him as. Very super talented guy, rapper, producer, musician, but also a super cool dude. And I hope that, I know that it will, translate to this medium. So thank you all so much for everything. And enjoy the episode. We get into a lot of different things. If you're a big Kanye fan, you're going to love it. So, see you guys soon. Thank you for everything. And, see you soon. All right, so after probably a month of deliberation, negotiation, a lot of controversy going on, we're finally back in the studio, back in the booth, with none other than Dan Nikulin. That is Kulin for all of you rap heads out there. Kulin. Very talented guy. Very prominent on the Brookline, rap scene and the music scene in general. He's a legend. I don't want to kind of take him out of context. I don't want to put him in any other box. I do want to let him, Kulin, talk a little bit about yourself. Who are you?
I'm Kulin, from Brookline, Mass, born and raised. And
were you born and raised as Kulin, or is that something that kind of just popped up at some point?
It's like it's my last name. Nikulin. Well, it's pronounced Nikulin.
Spell your last name, Dan.
Nikulin.
Okay.
And it's pronounced Nikulin, but everybody says Nikulin, and so I was just like, Kulin.
I mean, if you look at the Brookline, or I don't want to talk about the Brookline. I don't want to diss anybody's rap names. I do think it has to have some connection to yourself. I'll take I know, like Sean Carter, like Jay-Z, right, might not have as big a connect. I don't know Jay-Z's story of how he got his rap name, but I don't think that Jay-Z has a super big connection to his identity. But I know I'm a fan of a rapper, Dave Bird, who also AKA Lil Dicky. So I mean, that is obviously very personal to who he is, whereas, Jay-Z is not very personal. I do think that there is a blend of those two things, where it's not too much, but is kind of connecting to who you are. So I do think Kulin, I don't want to talk about anybody on the, on the Brookline rap scene because,
I am the Brookline rap scene.
Oh, all right. I mean, listen, I do like to think of myself as the big boy or the Funkmaster Flex of the Brookline rap scene, where I'm we'll get into that a little bit later. You are, obviously a pretty integral part of the Brookline, rap scene and the music scene in general. But how do you think you've, evolved from someone who, first picked up his first instrument at, XYZ age, to where you are now as, a guy who's 18, right?
Yeah. 18
and really, buzzing. I don't want this, listen, no one here is super duper famous, but in terms of Kulin, you heard, that new Kulin dropped in the, in the system of Brookline, in the space of Brookline, it is so how have you evolved from someone who had only picked up an instrument at a young age to where you are today?
Think just branching out from playing other people's music to making my own music. It started when I was like a little younger with my brother. We were like totally messing around with GarageBand all the time. When we'd go on like ski trips and shit, we'd get bored, and like we'd just start messing around in GarageBand, and that shit was super fun. So like I kept doing that, and as I learned piano more, I learned guitar more, I learned these other instruments, and then I started figuring out how to use the programs. I just started producing. It just kind of, I feel like it just happened, you know? It was just like natural.
Yeah. Do you feel like you said the word natural, and that really like flipped a switch? Do you think there's some people who are more like naturally inclined to come to music and to fiddle with things in music? And do you think that's like a larger like look at who you are as a person, as someone who does like to fiddle, or do you think that's just something that's completely separate?
I feel like everybody enjoys and appreciates music, but it's like I don't think everybody is interested in necessarily making their own music, or I don't think everyone's necessarily interested in like trying to, maybe like they don't love music that much, you know? I really enjoy music. I love music. It's always been a part of my life. So I feel like it only made sense to make my own. Like it just made sense to me. Like I will start making my own music. I'll start making my own beats, and it started sounding good. So I kind of rolled with it.
Yeah. Do you think someone can be trained in that kind of sense? Because I know, for example, I played the flute from when I was 4 to when I was 12 and a half, kind of, and then I just, then I just kind of, like, I decided that it wasn't for me. My experience as someone who played the flute was just, I was playing the same, Bach, I was playing the same Mozart, the same kind of stuff over and over again. And it just got repetitive. Obviously, it was scaling up in terms of, like, difficulty, but it was the same, like, kind of uninspired feeling. And I really enjoyed playing the flute. It just wasn't there for me at age 12 and a half, So do you think that someone who is willing to put in the time can develop kind of like that ear that you're talking about?
I think so. I mean, I think there's like definitely that element that it just comes naturally and you can't really learn it, but you can always learn to play an instrument. You can learn to appreciate different types of music by surrounding yourself with different types of music. And, an example of that is like Eazy-E.
Yeah.
Like you look at Eazy-E early in his career, before he was rapping, he didn't know how to rap at all. He just couldn't.
Yeah.
So he learned how to, and he learned how to get that style and that flow. And so now he's considered one of the greatest rappers of all time. And he didn't know how to do this shit before. He figured it out.
I mean, I think, and this is probably the one of the more famous examples, but even if you look at Kanye, Kanye is someone who is cited, starting to fiddle with instruments around the house at age 3, and starting to play, just hitting piano keys, and that, I think it is a combination of the experience because, you are informed by your surroundings, but in addition to that, like, there are things that Kanye can do that no one else can do. I mean, you can't learn.
We're both massive Kanye fans.
Yeah. You guys can already tell.
Yeah, we're the most massive Kanye fans ever.
Yeah, it is such, like, when you listen to Kanye's music, you just, like, and I'm thinking of, like, specific songs, but if you look at the total body of work that he's put together, it is
perfect.
The range. Yeah. I am not someone who likes to use the word perfect. I think there's always room for improvement, but some things are just so beautiful, just beautifully put together. My favorite, I hate to say favorite because that puts things in such boxes, but I'll just use Runaway as an example. Runaway was at a very specific point in Kanye's career where he had all this success before and some controversy leading up to it, and he was able to turn this medium of, like, I don't want to call it rap, but I want to call it just his style of music into something that was so, like, advanced. Yeah. It was just, if you, like, music theorists have looked at Runaway and called it, like, amazing things. I know the Dissect podcast, which I've recommended to every Kanye fan I've ever met, but is this guy Cole Kuchna, who is a music major, and I'm not sure exactly. He was a very, very well-trained. He had a very trained ear, for music, and he did start with classical music, but then he started to apply those ideas to dissecting and looking at other bodies of work from different, more contemporary styles. And he has called Runaway like some of the best music that he has seen. Obviously,
Which it is.
And you can look at it from like that perspective, but even if you're someone who's listening to it for the first time, it is so amazing how it, and we'll have a little in-depth conversation about this in a second, but it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about Runaway. I know you have a lot to say.
Runaway, like, you've said everything there is to say about it. It's just like, it's just great. It's just great. It's like a song that I can keep playing, and I could just keep playing and never, ever, like, if that shit keeps on repeating and repeating, I will never turn it off.
It's a 9-minute hip-hop song. And, even for people who don't want to call it hip-hop, like, whatever, there's an amazing Pusha T verse.
Pusha T is GOAT status.
I mean, my mother is most likely listening, so excuse my, my French language in the next couple seconds, but that beginning when you hear that, like 365, 24/7, 365, pussy stays on my mind, is just like,
whoa.
It just hits you right there. And
whoa.
there's a Complex article that the editor-in-chief of Complex wrote while with Kanye in the sessions where he was recording that kind of music, where he asked Pusha about it, and Pusha said that he had recorded it like 20 or 30 times in a row. Like he just kept going back, and Kanye just kept saying, that's not it. You have to be more douchebag. You have to be more, and like that's the quote that appears everywhere. Like, you have to be more this. And I think Kanye's like demanding more of not only himself but the people around him has turned that record, but also that album and his career as a whole, looking at it from a more macro sense, to the celebrated musician that he is.
Yeah.
Like and let's zoom out a little bit. My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. I didn't anticipate that we would go right into this, but it is like, me and Dan have talked about this in econ class, like during econ class. It is just one of the more like you can tell Kanye's such a perfectionist and such like pushing himself while doing this. He had a lot at stake there. He had just had, I was too young to remember the whole fiasco at the VMAs, where he famously grabbed Taylor Swift's mic out of her hand and said all the things. But he apparently had a ton riding on releasing an album that was amazing.
Yeah.
And he delivered more than really anyone could.
Dude, that's like a top 3 album of the century.
Yeah.
Dare I say?
Dare you say one of the top 3 hip hop albums ever?
I feel like the 2 out of the top 3 are To Pimp a Butterfly and My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. I don't know what that third.
That third spot. I mean, those 2 albums, I have personally had a greater. I think there's a difference between recognizing what you like and what is better.
Yeah.
I hate to say better or worse. Obviously, like the intro to every music conversation is that it's all subjective, but like. To Pimp a Butterfly has things that I don't even understand, but I can recognize that they're amazing.
Yeah.
I have always more connected to Good Kid, Mad City. I think it's more accessible.
Dude,
but
that's a great album.
It's still great, obviously. But I think To Pimp a Butterfly, like, I can tell, even if I can't connect to it as well, that it belongs in that tier 1A. Like, it is there.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. So, I mean, even if you look at, like, the track list for My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy.
Let's go through it.
Dark Fantasy, the intro.
Best intro ever.
Yeah. I mean, listen, like, yeah. The difference, I think the difference in the chorus, the can we get much higher? Yeah, I had a long weekend, so my voice is kind of gone, but I won't hit those notes, but the difference between that and the rapping part of it is just so amazing. Mm-hmm. It's like, and I don't feel like I have the vocabulary to talk about it.
Yeah, I don't either.
Like right where it goes transitions from the choir part into the beat and the I fantasize about this back in Chicago, mercy, mercy me, the Murcielago. Like right there is just like, as someone who likes rap music, who loves rap music, is so like nothing gets your head bobbing more than that.
And that beat.
And the beat too.
The beat's crazy.
Yeah, and the beat also like
and the movie.
Yeah. Oh, all right, we'll get to the movie.
We'll get to the movie later.
Don't worry about
We'll get to the movie later.
Gorgeous gets the first appearance by guest artists. You know, Kid Cudi there and Raekwon of the Wu-Tang. I thought that it, like in the past, I've started listening to this album probably around 8th grade. I've always found it a little less accessible because I couldn't always understand the depth of the meaning of the lyrics.
Yeah, not at all.
Also, it is a little like Kanye did kind of, and the whole album kind of plays with the idea of voice and like how it's not just talking but also can be an instrument.
Like in Runaway?
Like, oh boy.
Like the end.
And I just think that like where he like kind of like almost sounds like he's talking into like it's coming out of a radio, like a walkie-talkie there, where it's a little like it is so perfectly fitting of the mood of that song and the different kind of directions that he takes it in, and the in the Kid Cudi, like I think a lot of people, like I don't want to call Kid Cudi overrated, but his place in rap is very set in stone in part of his, like I don't want to sound disrespectful to him in any way, but I think his strength lies in his like chorus, like him. He's
a hook guy.
Him controlling the hook.
Some of his stuff. I mean, dude, the thing with Kid Cudi is he's like so all over the place. His first 2 albums were fire. Yeah. Obviously. Yeah. And then everything between then and Kids See Ghosts was like booty buns. Everything. Speeding Bullet to Heaven is like the worst album I've ever heard in my entire life.
I mean, I even. Like you talked about the first 2 albums on I think it's Man on the Moon. He does on a Maker Say. I think it's called like that, but it's a way it samples Poker Face by where he goes
yeah.
So I mean I think the lyrics in that is great. I don't want to put him in that box of doing that, but the way I think that's what he really excels at. And I think that's on Gorgeous. I feel like it does tie together.
Yeah, his hook's perfect on Gorgeous.
Yeah, amazing. Power, not a ton to be said.
I don't have much to say about Power. Just like, it's such a great song, but it got so overplayed.
I think it's entered I think it is entered like the pop culture. Yeah. Like that beat on Power is like just gives me goosebumps.
I skip Power. But not because it's bad. Power is fire. Yeah. Like if I like listen to Power, it's amazing. I skip Power for the sole reason of like when I was younger, I played it every single day.
Oh my gosh. I think that's probably like the most like I think it's probably the best, like the most commercially successful single that he's had on this album. Yeah. I think it's the most accessible one because it really I think that's just talks about how good it is. Like I've listened to that hundreds of times, if not thousands. It's so good.
Totally.
Next 2 tracks are tied together. All of the Lights interlude and All of the Lights. The All of the Lights interlude is something that I didn't know existed until I looked at the actual track list. Yeah, me too. Where it just goes like the cello. I think it's a cello. There's a cello and violin in it, and in the music video for that single, it's like a little girl walking down a street in a pretty like desolate area, and I think it does like there's a desperation in All of the Lights that All of the Lights interlude does capture amazingly.
It's great.
Yeah,
I think it wasn't. It wasn't necessary. He didn't have to put it in, but like the fact that he did is great.
It adds so much into it. And obviously like in this era of like you press shuffle at the top of a playlist and it plays a song, like that's not what this song is for.
This whole album is made to be listened in order.
Yeah. And All of the Lights as a song and as a concept, like he got so many he got Elton John on there. He got Fergie. He got Drake. He got obviously Rihanna.
Obviously.
It's just so.
Yeah, that's a crazy song.
He got so many people onto it, but it's still so Kanye.
I think the thing about Dark Twisted Fantasy that's great is he has so many features on it, but it's still like totally a Kanye album.
Yeah.
It's like you could take all the features away and I wouldn't even notice, honestly.
Yeah.
Well, that's not true. I would notice.
We'll get to that on the next song.
Which one? What's next?
Monster.
Okay.
Oh yeah. So I mean, I think it goes the same with all of Kanye's albums. Like I think some albums, if you take the features away, it does take away. And I think with this album it does, but I think it's still so like I think the idea that it's so Kanye really does like hit it right on the nose.
Because he wrote all their words and he told like with the Monster, like we're about to talk about Monster with Nicki Minaj. I read that like he told her to rewrite her shit like 10 million times because he wanted her to get those like monster noises. She wouldn't do them. She didn't want to do them. He like forced her to do it, and that was her big break.
Yeah, Monster is not a super accessible song. Like it's not something you want to like listen to like while sitting at home
listen
and
to it like that.
Yeah, like it does get you physically, like it changes the way you are almost physically. Like it changes the way you feel.
It's hype,
which is true about it's true about every piece of music, but it is hype. The Jay-Z,
Rick Ross kills that shit.
Yeah, I mean he does. He doesn't have like and we'll get to Rick Ross, but he does have like his persona on that song is so present, even though he's not the main focus of it.
Just like choosing him to open that song. It sets the tone for the entire song.
And the beat too, where it's like boom, 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 boom. It's just so like it feels like you're being chased. Like he talks about it.
It's crazy.
So Appalled is a good song. like it's,
very good song.
Yeah. And I think it does feature the more, like I don't want to call Sahai the Prince like lesser, but
you know the story about him on this track, right?
Didn't he record it without telling Kanye and then put it on?
He
talk to me about that.
Hold on, let me chew.
Oh, yeah,
we're eating delicious Trader Joe's candies.
Yeah. All right, I brought in some snacks just to lure Dan into the studio.
Of course.
We got Oreos, we have Sour Patch Kids,
barbecue Pringles.
We got barbecue Pringles. We have Jingle Jangle, which anybody who's spoken to me in the last month knows that I've been.
And we crushed Canes.
Oh, we crushed some Canes. We're still sipping. It looks like Dan's sipping on some tea.
Yeah.
Are you a sweet or unsweet guy?
Sweet
tea.
Sweet tea. But back to Sahai the Prince. We'll get to the Canes. We'll talk about all that later. Sahai the Prince right now. He went into the studio. He was only supposed to record a hook. This dude Kanye dipped. Everyone dipped. He was in there alone. He recorded that verse just like quietly, slid it in the final.
Yeah.
And when Kanye was showing like the label, he heard it for the first time. He heard Sahai's verse for the first time while he was showing it to the label.
I mean, and talk about that confidence. Like I would not. Dude. Like, I don't even like adding stuff to, like, group projects right before I turn it in. Like, I'm just, like, it's not my body of work, so I don't want to. But that is something that, like, really embraces the collaborative concept of My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. And, like, the entire idea that they were together in those sessions is felt by that Sahai the Prince.
Yeah.
Like, if God had an iPod, I'd be on his playlist. It's just, like...
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy bar.
Crazy stuff.
My favorite one.
Favorite one coming up.
This is my favorite one.
Devil in a New Dress. Talk to me about it, Dan.
It's the best track. It's the best track. If I could only keep one Kanye song, it's this one.
I think on Instagram, there's a popular thing where rap Instagram pages, do like where they cut the worst song on the album one by one. So you almost are ranking the songs, and this one consistently beats every other one because it is so like the guitar on it. I think who is it? Mike Dean. Yeah, Mike Dean took care of that. The beat,
the sample, like you just get hit with that. The moment it goes on, you're just hit with like the most amazing instrumental ever.
I think I don't have like and pretty much any experience with producing. Sometimes I'll go to GarageBand and flick some things. I'll hit Command K so the keyboard will pop up, and then I'll just play with it a little bit. But no, that almost like when you're reading a book, an amazing book, and it discourages you from writing because you won't be able to write anything as good as that. This is the same.
That's how I feel when I listen to this album and then proceed to go make my own music. It's inspiring, but it's so like no one will ever be able to do this. Yeah.
And Devil in a New Dress, like the way it builds up, Kanye does his verse, and then it builds up to the Rick Ross is just, it's like no one can.
Rick Ross killed that shit.
I just made the chef's kiss gesture, but it is like Rick Ross is like the two parts where he's on the album are just he plays his role so perfectly.
He does. He's not too excessive. He fits there.
It's concise and it hits exactly what fits on the nose. Like there's nothing that there's no track that feels like it's there as a filler.
Yeah. Like
there's some that you like more than others, but they all feel like they're there for a reason. Whereas some more like if we look even at Scorpion, Scorpion was 25 tracks and some of them,
5 good songs.
Yeah. Like you feel like some songs are there just to make an album happen.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's not there on this album.
No fillers on this song.
The Devil in a New Dress to Runaway, one after the other.
Yeah, it's
where
perfect.
Where it finishes I don't want to try to imitate the sound, but the last couple seconds of Devil in a New Dress right into the ding.
Yeah, it's perfect.
On Runaway.
I feel like all the songs kind of just flow.
Yeah,
it's great.
Yeah, and even if the feeling, and we'll get to this exact point in a second, but even if the feeling isn't the same, it's sonically like maybe it's not the same, but it works.
Yeah,
the transition makes sense. It doesn't feel forced. Runaway we've talked about.
We talked about Runaway.
It's one of the best songs of any genre.
Yeah.
And I think it is influenced. I think you looked at Kanye. You can look at Kanye influences other people. Like 808s, the way it influenced
changed the world.
Emo rap scene that we're seeing, but also just the way people are playing with sound that you wouldn't find on a
like an 808.
Yeah. So I think that has informed it in such a way, but Runaway too, like the voice as an instrument thing that he does on Runaway is, and I think Kanye, like he said he was very emotional when he was recording it. Obviously he had a breakup and the death of his mother in the past, I think year before that, so it was obviously a very difficult time, and the song gets you thinking about yourself, which is so powerful. Like you don't get that from, I don't want to keep throwing Drake under the bus, but you don't get that from Nonstop.
Kanye's so much better than Drake in every way, so we can throw Drake. I don't want to compare as many times.
So
we have to talk about the Pusha T Drake beef later.
Yeah, no, we'll get to that.
We'll get to that later. Oh boy, even though that's like a year old.
Yeah. So Runaway to Hell of a Life. Runaway is obviously very emotional in one way, and I think Hell of a Life is emotional in another way. I think Hell of a Life fits in better with a track like Monster in terms of how it sounds, but the feeling does work. Like that flow from Runaway to Hell of a Life, I think, is also illustrated in the movie, which we will get to that day. I know you're itching to talk about it.
The movie's another whole different story. And I watched the Jesus is King movie. Yeah. And I, for some reason, expected something similar, and it was such a disappointment. Yeah. It was such a disappointment.
Yeah. I mean, I think, we'll talk about the movie right now. I can't wait any longer. I think, it makes no attempt to explain itself too much. It's almost like when you go to a museum and you see a piece of art, you don't want the artist, and I don't think the artist wants to tell you exactly what it's about. Yeah. They don't want to tell you what they had eaten for breakfast that day and what breakup they had to make it look like that, or what birth of a child they had to make it look happy. They don't want that. They want you to look at it and interpret it in your own way. Like that curiosity is what drives it.
Yeah.
And just the storyline of it centers around a phoenix, right?
Yeah, like an alien phoenix.
Yeah, which falls in a meteor to the surface of of planet Earth, and Kanye comes and rescues her, and it is just it tells a story, and every song is on it, but no part of it feels like it's almost like it's a soundtrack, and this is it. It's a soundtrack for the movie, but
it really is.
But it feels like a soundtrack to the movie rather than the movie made about the music. Like
I agree.
Like obviously everyone knows like the iconic, like Kanye standing on the piano as the ballerinas dance. Like everyone knows that, but it's so much more than that.
I know.
And obviously titled Runaway, talks runaway, Kanye running away from the world. Yeah, it's so, like, I think My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy as a title is like, it encompasses the confusion behind what does it mean and what's going on with My Beautiful Dark Twisted, a 5-word title.
Yeah.
I think a secondary name could just be Runaway.
Yeah.
And although Devil in a New Dress may be a better song, I think the centerpiece of the album is Runaway.
Yeah, totally.
So I think Hell of a Life does kind of, like, the transition from Runaway to Hell of a Life works super well. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I remember this specifically, that the first time I heard that transition, it shocked me, but it makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Blame Game.
I don't have too much to say about Blame Game.
I don't love Blame Game.
I skip Blame Game.
I hate to call like any song in the album the worst song, but like
I think Blame Game is the worst one.
Yeah, and I think there's a wonderful piano in it that works as the beat, and Kanye does do like again the voice as music thing, but like where he plays where he pitches his voice up and down, so it almost creates like a conversation, which is totally disorienting.
We need to clarify that although it is the worst song on the album, that does not mean anything. Like, all of these songs are terrific.
The worst Picasso, like that.
Yeah, literally, it's the worst Picasso.
It's like there's no way to compare Runaway to anything. So why try to compare it to
Yeah, you can. I love Lost in the World.
Yeah, last two songs I grouped together. Although there's
they're together.
Like, I think these two songs can be, they close the album in such a great way, whereas Dark Fantasy is kind of Kanye knowing who he is, and rapping, I'm on top, I'm here, like I'm the emperor of this, kind of like, which is in the Power music video. He's puts himself in place as this very like almost Greek god-like figure. Lost in the World shows such a vulnerable side that's been revealed over
throughout the album.
Yeah, I mean, all the lights, Runaway, Blame Game, Devil in a New Dress, where Kanye just seems so vulnerable, and Lost in the World, like, it's, oh my gosh,
it's a great album.
Yeah,
every time I listen to it top to bottom, I figure out something else, I learn something different about it.
Yeah.
And I enjoy every second of it.
I think, like, there are days where I go to bed after having listened to the entirety of the album, and I say, wow, this album defined my day today. Like, I will remember this day a week from today because I listened to, like, I came home and I listened to it.
That's what the next Kulin album is going to do for you.
Oh, yeah. Wait, hold that thought. Lost in the World, the way it flows into Who Will Survive in America, and the way those two songs work both separately and together, like, this is what we should be talking about in English class.
Yeah. I'm so hyped, bro. I'm so sick of what we're learning about in English class. Like, this is modern literature. This is,
exactly. Like, I don't want to discredit the people. I don't want to, like, put aside the people who are writing these days, but this is the emotional expression of that people like that the dude who wrote Gatsby and the people who wrote, A Tale of Two Cities.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what that same feeling is still felt by people like Kanye today, but they tell the story with such a different way that it's like, I feel like not approaching it and just putting it aside and just saying, oh, it's just music is not giving it the credit that it deserves.
Right.
And I know even there are college courses, and I think, the education system is going to start at the top and it's going to, diffuse downwards. But I think there are college courses today that talk about To Pimp a Butterfly,
right?
And that's all the course is once or twice a week, and they just analyze it and they talk about the different topics that it discusses, like the African American experience, and poverty and so many other things that are beautifully and poetically told by Kendrick Lamar on there. Like in that same way, the overall cultural discussion is so on My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. And they work together so well that it's a shame that we don't talk about this in the frame of today.
Yeah. I agree.
So yeah, we've run through My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. In my opinion, the best Kanye album.
I would agree.
I think that's the consensus. Like in all of the rankings, it is like what pops up.
Yeah. It is. No, yeah, everyone agrees. I don't think it's debatable, honestly.
Yeah.
It's a masterpiece.
So I'm going to ask you a very difficult one, and you know what I'm about to ask you, but can you rank the Kanye albums for me? Because I want to get someone else's point of view.
Top to bottom.
Yeah, top to bottom.
I'm going to make people upset.
And you can make people upset. I don't think Dan has any bad intentions here. It's just like this is his opinion.
I may make you upset.
It very well may.
So number 1 is Dark Twisted Fantasy. That's known. Number 2 is Late Registration.
I agree.
Number 3 is Yeezus. Number 4 is Graduation. Number 5 is Ye. Number 6 is Life of Pablo. Number 7 is The College Dropout. I'm sorry. Number 8 is 808s, even though it's fire. And then Jesus is King is the last one, even though it's fire.
Yeah. And if you'd read Dan's, it was an opinion column, or was it?
It was in the arts column. I don't know why it was in the arts column.
But Dan reviewed Jesus is King, Kanye's latest release, in the Sagamore School newspaper, and he said that although it's Kanye's worst album in his opinion, it's still amazing.
Yeah.
Right. I thought you ranked The College Dropout a little low for my liking.
What would you switch it with?
I would switch it with Ye. I like Ye.
I like Ye.
I think it's less. I think it's closer to. Like, I think The College Dropout is very accessible. Like, you listen to the songs in like slow jams. You listen to, to a lesser extent, I guess, Jesus Walks. But there's songs there that you can listen to at any person could listen to and enjoy. I think Ye takes a different level of understanding it and applying it to yourself. I think the average on Ye might be a little higher than The College Dropout. I personally like the peaks of The College Dropout more than I like the ones on Ye.
That's fair.
I do think I really like Ghost Town.
Town. Even Kanye says it's his favorite song.
Yeah. And nothing hurts anymore.
It's perfect. I think that is like a perfect song.
I love it. And I think there's an exercise I've done with friends before where I asked them to make a 7-song Kanye album.
Uh-huh.
So, or how many albums? So he's had 8. So
he's had
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
9.
So I guess if you'd make a 9-song Kanye album, I think that makes it on there.
Ghost Town?
Yeah. And I don't want to get into like a top 10 ranking of songs, but I think it does in an album form. Like it does give that emotional expression of like I feel and nothing hurts anymore. I feel kind of free. Like sometimes like where he goes where every time it says sometimes in that song followed by another line is so like it's something that I felt was a tad bit missing at times on that album. Or was not in the way I liked it as much.
I can get that.
But I do think it's a great album. It is on my vinyl to buy list.
Yeah.
But yeah. I think overall your ranking was good.
I understand why you would. I don't know why I don't like College Dropout that much.
Yeah.
It's just not. I never really connected with that album so much, and also just I honestly think Ye is better.
Yeah, I mean obviously fair. Like I've never said fair before on the podcast. This is a moment right here, but some songs on it like Family Business is one of my favorite.
Yeah, Family Business is fire. New Workout Plan, of course, bangers.
Never Let Me Down.
They're great.
Yeah, I mean,
I want to rephrase that. Although it is second to last, or what was it? Third to last. It was third to last on my list. It's still a great album. I need to rephrase that.
And there's no Kanye album with like there are songs that like. I guess you could say some songs are bad. But or unnecessary, but I think every Kanye album has great songs on it. I liked your placement of Late Registration. I really like that.
That's number 2 for me.
It's number 2 for me as well. And some arguments could be made, and like I don't agree with them, but some arguments could be made that it's the best.
I mean,
just the way it adds in so many different genres. I think like this is. I think without Late Registration, To Pimp a Butterfly doesn't happen. Like that jazz influence and like that blending of things of genres that Kanye does with other genres like with EDM and like electro music on Yeezus. Like I think that begins in Late Registration where he does go into like Heard Him Say. Like even like some saxophone parts on like Gold Digger, you know, you get Drive Slow, Roses.
Yeah.
You know, some people, Diamonds, like such great songs on there.
Great.
That
Heard Him Say.
Yeah, I personally. Oh my god.
Drive Slow. Oh my god, bro.
Dude, Hey Mama. Oh my. Hey Mama.
Rock
one
music,
of the
Roses. Dude, this is actually might be. Yo.
I'm not ready to call it. Listen, I'm not ready to call it better than My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, but I prefer. I think the narrative of My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is what takes it over the top.
Yeah.
But Late Registration as a music album is one of the best ones out there.
It's great. I didn't even realize how great it was until
Yeah.
I'm just sitting here looking at the track list.
Yeah. Do you think Kanye's washed?
I don't know, bro. I don't know what's going on with him. I don't want to say bad things about him because I love him too much.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest, I wanted Yandhi more than I wanted Jesus is King.
Yeah.
Like I'm happy with Jesus is King, but I wanted Yandhi. That shit is fire. I have the leaks and they're fire.
Dan has the leaks. For those who are unfamiliar, Yandhi is an album that Kanye was going to drop and didn't for a year. After which, following that year, he dropped Jesus is King, which is a totally different album.
Spiritual revelation.
That is not on Yandhi, from what we've heard. But Yandhi is out there. Like if you want to find Yandhi, you will find Yandhi.
Find me and I'll send it to you.
Yeah, find Dan and I'll send it to you.
So what would a Tell Me Something Good podcast be without an interruption in the original recording? At that point, after I said, find Dan and I'll send it to you, a very nice person came in and kind of kicked us out of the room. There was a writing center workshop in there, and we had to evacuate. But we did find a new space in the library. Shout out to Ms. Collins. And we finished recording, so no harm really done. But yeah, so the acoustics might be a little different. In my opinion, the vibe changes a little bit. So just look out for that. And yeah, thanks for listening. Sorry about that.
You might be able to notice by the sound, but we have transitioned into a new space.
We have.
A new studio, you might call it. Conference Room B in the VHS library. It's got a better view than Conference Room A. It's got, in my opinion, better vibes than Conference Room A.
Definitely.
It's got natural light visible, not into it, but probably before school. Probably has a nice amount of natural light drifting in. But Dan, transitioning away from Kanye, if I may, is there anything else you want to touch on? Or?
I think we talked about Kanye for like a good amount of time.
Yeah, like half an hour or something. Which is like you could talk about Kanye for hours, but I think we've went into an appropriate amount of depth.
I think so too.
About Kanye.
If we end up going back to Kanye, we end up going back to Kanye. Who knows?
So your music.
Okay.
Obviously, you're a musician. Dare I say, you're a talented musician. So
appreciate it.
Where did you, at what point did you say, I'm Kulin?
Well, I started as Young Moses.
Young Moses.
Just because I'm Jewish and I thought it'd be funny. And then Lil Dicky started writing the whole I'm a white Jew rapper, so it's funny. So I couldn't really go with that anymore. But I started calling myself Kulin. First, my brother called himself Kulin, actually. And I was Young Moses. And he wasn't actually recording. He was just like, I'm Kulin, just like as if he were a rapper.
Yeah.
I actually started rapping. I was like, that's a great name. I want to take it. So I took the name from him. So he actually came up with the name.
So you kind of just finessed that away.
I asked him first, but yeah,
Yeah.
Basically. I took the name further than he did.
Yeah.
But that was just like end of freshman year.
End of freshman year. So this is 2017.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how is that like? How do you think you've changed as a rapper and as a musician, as a producer since that point?
Well, I don't record on my headphone microphone anymore, which is what I did for all my songs up until Feel It, which was the first. I got a microphone finally. I saved up enough money for a microphone and a audio interface, and I was like, all right, now I'm getting legit.
Yeah.
So I recorded Feel It with legit equipment, but I think in terms of my music evolving over the last few years, I just feel like it's become more organic. I feel like it's a lot more personal because a lot of my older songs, and they still are, and I don't think there's any problem with it, rapping about like money and bitches and cars and all that stuff. It's rap music, it's fun.
Yeah.
But some of the stuff that I haven't released yet, that I'm saving up for this next album, it's different. It's completely different from what I've done before, and it's a lot more personal.
How much thought have you put into organizing your albums as albums rather than just putting out collections of music?
I think.
Do you think you're inspired by the way that like other people put out stuff?
Totally.
Talk about that.
I think it's really, really important to build the album in the right structure. Obviously you wouldn't start the album with some really fast song. Well, no, not necessarily. I guess it depends on what you're going for, but I guess you wouldn't start the album with the same song that you would put in the middle of the album because it's supposed to be a story. It's supposed to kind of flow together in a way. And even if the songs don't go hand in hand together, it's kind of built to flow that you can enjoy it.
I think that's the right way to look at it. And obviously, like, in everything here, there's no right way to look at it. But you see Chris Brown dropping 40-song albums, and, like, I'm doing the whole finger quotation mark thing. Like, not really. And, like, Migos dropping. Like, there's some good songs on there, but it doesn't have that album start-to-finish feeling. Like, to me, like, I have a record player, so I get albums, and I listen to them front to back. Like, that is what I do.
Right.
So it's an interesting kind of way that, someone who is, like, I don't want to minimize it in any way, but you're 18. Like, you're a young dude. So, like, how is that different
then that I think it's a different and better way to look at it than a lot of other people do. So yeah, talk to me a little bit about like stylistically, where do you get your inspiration from?
I think I take a lot away from definitely Travis Scott. I love Travis Scott, you know.
We haven't even gotten into Travis.
We haven't gotten into Travis. I really do love Travis, especially his older shit. Don't get me wrong, his new stuff's fire, but his old stuff it's out of this world.
Yeah.
Kanye, of course, I'm really, really heavily influenced by him, I think. I think obviously my music's different, and, I'm not even going to compare it. We don't even have to get into that conversation, but in terms of production and in terms of, I guess, style, I guess even just being different than other people, I'm kind of taking that away from Kanye's influence.
Yeah, I mean, I think even if you look like I think I'm your what am I, your 13th biggest listener on Souncloud?
You're up there.
Listen, Dan is, I don't want to call him super famous, but Dan certainly, he's got a couple K's up there in terms of the listens. I think stylistically, it does look like you've evolved, right? Like, I think your music has gotten better, dare I say. And there's some fire, deep cuts in there, but it is like, it's different, and I feel that it's better. And trending upwards, in terms of
I hope so.
The new album.
I think so.
Yeah. So talk to me about the Kulin tape and 02445. So what was the process behind recording, to debut, I guess your debut and your sophomore
Well,
tape?
02445
it's an EP.
It's an EP, and it's honestly, it was just songs that I made in like a week span. I just just made a bunch of songs, and I feel like they all had similar vibes to them in their own way. And so I just kind of just dropped them. It honestly, 02445 it was a surprise drop. I was just like, I have these songs, I kind of want to get rid of them. Or not get rid of them, but put them out.
Yeah.
And so I just put it out. I made the cover art in like 30 minutes. That was a quick, here, have some music.
Yeah.
And then the Kulin tape was a longer process in terms of the songs that I recorded. I were re-recording a lot, and I threw away a bunch of songs for it, and I struggled with figuring out the sound that I wanted and just what direction I wanted to go with that mixtape.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to call it an album. It's a mixtape.
It's a mixtape.
They're all mixtapes. And this upcoming mixtape is a mixtape, of course. But again, with the Kulin tape, it wasn't my best work.
Yeah.
I think there's bangers on there for sure, and I'm not going to downplay my own records because I think that shit's fire. I listen to all of it, obviously. Yeah. But the upcoming Boston Cream is the name of the next one. I already released that, so that's not anything. That's not any news.
Secret.
It's not a secret. But with Boston Cream, there's more of a direction that I have, and there's more of a story that I want to tell. And with the Kulin tape and 02445, they were kind of just, tracks that I made that had a bit of a message, but they were mostly just like fun listening out, like songs. Which there's nothing wrong with, but I've evolved since then.
How do you decide if a song makes it or is released as a separate kind of body of work?
Well, first I show all my music to my brother when I make it. Throughout the whole process, like every little change I make, I send it to him. Because he and I get all my musical inspiration from him. Like he's like the only reason I'm doing this shit. Like for real.
What's his name?
Mike.
Mike.
Big shout out to Mike.
Yeah.
And Mike tells me if it's good or if it's trash. And a lot of the times it's trash, and a lot of the times it's good. And his input is like having that third person, I guess or second person, I guess, that tells you like a non-biased opinion about the song. It really helps me in terms of deciding what I want to release. And then with the singles, if I'm not dropping a single for an album, if I'm just putting out singles, I'm between albums and I'm just putting it out, then, it's just whatever I'm thinking and whatever I want people to hear. And it doesn't really have a meaning. But if I'm putting out the single before the album, like Heartburn. Yeah. Heartburn is supposed to be the lead single for Boston Cream.
Yeah.
Supposed to be. I'm probably gonna put out another single before Boston Cream though.
Is there a date?
No, there's not. I'm not gonna say a date because
Yeah.
it's not. It's not ready.
I listen. I'm just saying that because I don't want a Yandi situation.
Honestly, dude.
It's gonna drop, right?
It's gonna drop.
Okay.
There is Boston Cream. It's gonna come out. I want to get it out before the new year.
Okay.
I want to.
Yeah, that makes sense. Right now, for reference, we're recording this on the 25th of November. So you've got.
It's kind of soon. Holy shit.
That is. So let's say.
I mean, no. I've been in the booth a lot more lately. I'm really trying to push out this album. I've been lacking.
See, do you work on this every day? Is this something you work on consistently?
Nah, it's really not. Especially as a full-time student, full-time athlete. I really don't have the time, and I'm a senior applying for colleges right now.
Yeah.
Super busy, and in music. Although I want it to be all I do, it's not realistic. I have other shit and I have other responsibilities.
Yeah.
And the moment I have the opportunity to make music, I'm making it. Like that's for sure.
Are you always thinking about music?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the important part of
Totally.
it.
And whatever I hear, it's what can I do with this? How can I interpret this?
Yeah.
How can I not necessarily take this and make it my own, but how can I turn this into a similar style that I can, work with?
Yeah, and as someone who has been in the same classes as Dan and has looked over Dan's shoulder, Dan is always fiddling. He's always doing something, whether if that's playing with the pencil or whether that is, stipping it, bumping his leg up and down and to the beat of something I can't even hear, or whether he has earbuds in or he's just like drumming along to it, or whether he's actually sitting in front of his computer and producing.
Yeah.
He's always doing something. You're always doing something.
Yeah.
So I can tell that that's a focus of yours, even if you can't give it the time commitment that you feel that it deserves. It's definitely something I can see that you care about.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the end goal of it, right? Like if you put stuff out that you care about, your success is gonna come in whatever way you define success.
Mm-hmm.
It'll come. So
I hope so.
I definitely admire it. What do you think your favorite song is that you've put out?
My top 3, in no particular order, is Gold Digger.
I love
featuring Lil Twan.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Lil Twan.
Yeah.
Big shout out to Lil Twan. I fucking love that kid.
Yeah.
He is so fire.
Fire. The feature's fire. The beat is fire. Your verse is fire.
I think he fits on that song fire.
Yeah.
And also just his music in general. Like, I love his music. He's going to be on the next album, too.
Oh, boy.
He is.
I'm
waiting on a verse from him right now. But Twan is fire. But anyway, shout out to Twan. Anyway, Gold Digger featuring Lil Twan. 2 a.m. off the Kulin tape.
This is your most successful commercial.
Those 2 are my most successful songs.
Yeah.
Actually, I have Slow Down, which is old, and it was recorded on like my earbuds.
Yeah.
And, I honestly hate that song.
Oh, that's at 2300 right now.
Is it at 2300?
It's at 2307, whereas 2 a.m. is at and this is as of obviously the 20. It's at 2218.
They're
so
close.
It's a little bit. It's
Yeah, Slow Down. I don't know what happened. I think it just got featured on like the Souncloud, like Fresh Pressed or some shit.
Yeah.
Because I just kept on getting like hundreds of plays each day. I was shook.
Yeah.
And I was super shook because it was like my 4th song. I like literally was sitting on my bed like crisscrossed, fucking recording the shit in my headphones. So that was funny. And then also Kendall. Off the Kulin tape. That's like
obviously.
That's probably my number 1. I love that song.
Yeah. How do you like differentiate what you're rapping about? Because like I think it's easy to rap about, or it's easy to touch on the same things every time. So how do you kind of talk about, or how do you involve different styles? Because even if I look at a track like Never Heard Nothing, like that's a different like more like confrontational style. And lyrics than other things, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. So, like, how do you differentiate those things?
Well, I make all my own beats.
Yeah.
And I start with making the beat. I don't start with the lyrics. There's people who they'll write the lyrics first, and then they'll find a beat that'll match it.
Yeah.
But I can't do that. I want to make the beat first, whatever the fuck I'm feeling. I will make it, and then I'll be like, what can I do with this?
Yeah.
And then I'll decide if I want to go the obnoxious rapper style route, or if I want to tell a story.
Yeah.
Because I like to do both.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think you have to do either or. I like to do both.
How did the track titled "Pussy Tastes Like Fish" come to be?
Well, I had an experience that went sour, I guess you could say. It was a negative experience. It was a negative experience, and I was just like really annoyed by it. And I just started making the beat on my computer. Like I said, I start with the beats. I just made this like really weird like beat with like 3 instruments. It was just a hi-hat, a clap, and an 808. Yeah. Just like a really loud, obnoxious 808. And I was like sitting there in my room, and my dad is watching TV in the next room. And I start just going like, that pussy tastes like some fish. And it just, I don't know, I just started fucking recording it.
Yeah.
And it low-key has a lot of plays.
Yeah, this one bitch kind of special because her pussy tastes like gravy.
Yeah.
I really enjoy that bar. I think it really talks about the human experience in a different way than
Totally.
You know? I mean, it's a great song, but it also like it's funny, but it also is just like it tells a lot about who you are that you might not get from like, oh, like I'm a 17-year-old who's like, or an 18-year-old who's trying to like look cool and be a rapper. But it really does, like, the fact that you have the confidence to put that out is like, this is like, because obviously like it's a clown song.
Yeah.
But it's also just like, it's a sick concept. Like, it's funny.
I feel like it's just like, yeah, like why not?
Yeah.
Like, why the fuck not?
Yeah.
If it's funny and if people laugh and if people enjoy it.
It gets me every time.
Yeah.
It gets me every time.
I hear that like drum in the like the right, and you hear that in the beginning and I just like smile immediately. Everyone who I'm with, they just smile because it's funny.
Yeah. Have you ever performed it live?
Dude, I really, really want to. Like the next time I have a show, which is hopefully soon, I will absolutely perform that shit live.
Yeah. It's so funny, dude. Whoever hasn't gone, go over to Kulin, soundcloud.com/Kulin, and take a listen to everything, but also that song specifically. It's clown. And I've put it on during classes and on my computer and seen how long it takes before I, lose the courage to keep it on.
That's so funny, dude.
Yeah, looking forwards. Are you excited for, like, this is obviously, like, this is a softball answer. How excited are you, I guess, for the next song or the next album? Sorry.
I'm really looking forward to releasing
for Boston Cream.
I'm really looking forward to releasing Boston Cream. I've been working on it for a really long time, and I think the reason that it's been a slow process and I haven't been able to put it out yet. It's because of the amount of songs that I've scrapped for it, the amount of songs that were originally on it, and I looked at them and I listened to them. I was like, this is not up to my standards.
Yeah.
I want this mixtape to be as perfect as it can be.
Yeah.
Without pulling the eternal Ataki bullshit.
Where you
not drop an album for 3 years.
Yeah.
And I just wanna put out the best music that I can.
Yeah. As a listener, I'm obviously not a contributor to I guess this might count, but, for the Brookline rap scene. I think it's something that has evolved so much since people started putting shit out at the end of 8th grade and getting a freshman year. Like, it has really, really changed.
It really has.
And I think, like, it's exciting to see where this album takes it. Because any album that comes out, any mixtape, any song that comes out can change the culture of the music here at the high school and in the town and in the city and overall. So I'm really excited. I am really, really excited.
I'm glad you're excited. I really want to push this out sooner than later.
Yeah.
For sure.
I'm excited. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
I don't know.
Yeah, we were trying to get done by 3:15, and it's exactly 3:15. That's not to say we're gonna shut this down immediately, but it has been a pleasure.
Has been a great time.
Is there anything you want to plug?
Of course, check out my SoundCloud. SoundCloud.com/KULIN. Sorry, not IN. 1N, because someone took IN, which is a force. Follow me on Instagram, KVL1N, because someone took Kulin, which is a force. I tried to DM them, but they wouldn't answer.
Oh my god. Same thing with @Omer, some Turkish dude.
Fucking yeah, dude.
So annoying.
I want to give a shout out to Omer for putting me on the podcast. I had a really great time. Yeah. And then I want to give a shout out to all the boys, all the people, everyone who listens to my music, everyone who gives me any feedback, any criticism. Like, I really appreciate all of it, because I'm making this for you guys. So fair bucks.
Yeah, it's been a great time. We've talked about a lot of things.
Kanye.
I think this is gonna it's gonna, in the first couple words, it's gonna say Kanye in the title.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I think that Kanye has been a disproportionate impact on my life. This random dude,
way
Chicago.
More than anything else.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense that this guy has changed so much of the way I see the world.
I know,
but he has. So I mean, he's definitely even informed the podcast. So.
Hopefully he hears it.
If Yeezy listens to Tell Me Something
Shout
Good.
out to Yeezy.
Yeah. Anyways, Dan. Wait, I want the people to hear the dap, so you got it? There we go. Thank you, Dan, for coming on. It's been a great time. Thank you all for listening. And yeah, episode 2 in the books. Intro music go. It's been great. Thank you.